For years, Dylan Wang was the golden boy of Chinese entertainment, the heartthrob who made millions fall in love with his charm, the meteor garden prince whose smile could calm storms. His career was the very picture of grace and mystery, the boy from Chengdu who rose from obscurity to become one of Asia's most talked-about stars. But in the quiet hours of August 2025, that perfect image was shaken to its core when a 27-minute audio recording appeared online, an explosive leak that sent shockwaves through the internet, leaving fans, media, and even fellow actors reeling with disbelief. The voice in the recording, calm at first and rising into heated argument later, was alleged to be Dylan Wang's. Opposite him, a woman's voice, trembling, emotional, yet familiar, claimed she had been by his side for 10 years. The conversation, if real, tore open a story that had been carefully hidden behind the polished facade of fame, whispering of loyalty, heartbreak, and betrayal beneath the glow of the spotlight. The audio spread like wildfire. Within hours, hashtags about the alleged 10-year secret relationship topped Weibo's trending list, clocking millions of views. Some fans dismissed it as fabricated, insisting that Dylan's voice had been cloned using AI. Others claimed they recognized his tone, his speech rhythm, even the way he laughed nervously between words. In the recording, the man reportedly argued about trust and career pressure, while the woman accused him of forgetting the promises they made before fame changed everything. It sounded intimate, too raw, too personal, the kind of conversation that isn't meant for the world to hear. But now everyone had. As media outlets rushed to publish unverified snippets, the illusion of Dylan Wang's private life began to unravel. The man who had always kept romance out of public view suddenly found his most intimate words turned into public property. Overnight, fans began dissecting every syllable, comparing old interviews, tone samples, and even matching phrases he used in dramas to those heard in the recording. It became a witch hunt fueled by curiosity and heartbreak. To some, it was proof that their idol was human, that behind his impeccable smile was a man with flaws, insecurities, and complicated love. To others, it was an unforgivable betrayal, a sign that the person they had worshipped had hidden a life they were never meant to see. When Dylan's agency finally broke its silence, the tone was firm, even defiant. They condemned the leak as a severe violation of privacy, confirming that a private conversation had been recorded and distributed without consent. The statement didn't confirm who was in the audio, but it strongly implied legal action would follow against those spreading the file. Words like defamation, invasion, and criminal violation appeared in bold letters, sending a warning to bloggers and gossip accounts that had been feeding on the frenzy. Still, the damage had already been done. The internet had heard enough to build its own truth, one that no official denial could completely erase. What made the incident even more shocking was how personal it felt. Dylan Wang, though famously private, had always been open about the weight of fame. In interviews, he once mentioned that he had lost touch with ordinary life since becoming famous, and that sometimes it's hard to know who's genuine anymore. Fans often saw that as a poetic reflection on celebrity loneliness, but now it seemed like a silent cry no one had heard. The leaked argument, whether authentic or manipulated, pulled back the curtain on the exhaustion of living under constant scrutiny, the cost of being adored by millions but trusted by few. As the scandal deepened, the alleged woman in the recording was rumored to be someone Dylan had known before his debut, a classmate from his aviation school days in Sichuan, or a friend from his pre-fame circle. None of these claims were verified, yet social media detectives flooded timelines with photos, voice comparisons, and timelines that painted their own romantic saga. It became less about truth and more about narrative, a story that fans wanted to believe, one that made sense of their idol's mysterious silence about his love life. People began to romanticize it as a tragic love that fame destroyed. Others saw it as betrayal. How could he, their dream idol, have hidden something so significant from them? Beneath the chaos, what emerged most painfully was the reminder that celebrities, however perfect they appear, are still fragile beings trying to navigate a world that demands constant perfection. Dylan Wang had spent years cultivating an image that balanced strength and sensitivity, the dreamy actor who never lost his grounding. But now, that image had been weaponized against him. Even as fans expressed outrage over the leak, many unknowingly participated in spreading the same clip they condemned. They quoted lines from it, made memes, and analyzed emotional patterns as if they were decoding a script rather than someone's stolen heartbreak. It was the paradox of modern fame, a world that loves to idolize but also devours those it adores. Behind closed doors, sources close to the production team of his upcoming series reported that Dylan appeared, visibly tense, during shoots in the days following the leak. He maintained professionalism, never speaking publicly about the issue, but his usual cheerfulness had dimmed. Some crew members quietly noted how he stayed behind on set longer than usual, avoiding cameras and keeping his phone turned off between scenes. Others claimed he looked lost, as if the weight of the public gaze had suddenly grown unbearable. For Dylan, who had always prided himself on controlling his narrative, this was a nightmare. His journey to stardom had been defined by discipline and self-control, a refusal to be another headline. Yet now he was the headline. The irony wasn't lost on anyone that the same internet that built his fame was now the one dismantling his peace. Fans who once praised his mysterious aura now demanded transparency, as though they were owed the truth about his love life. But what truth could he give that wouldn't be torn apart by the same people demanding it? Days turned into weeks, and while his agency's legal team pursued those responsible for the leak, Dylan chose silence. Not the silence of guilt, but the kind that speaks louder than words, the silence of someone realizing that even innocence can't save you once the world decides to believe a story. That decision, to stay silent, divided fans further. Some admired his composure, believing that true innocence doesn't need defense. Others saw it as confirmation that the recording was real. Each theory bred another, and soon, the internet wasn't discussing Dylan Wang the actor anymore, but Dylan Wang the mystery, the man who might have loved and lost, the star trapped between truth and performance. In many ways, this incident reflected a larger sickness in celebrity culture, the entitlement that convinces people they have a right to every corner of a famous person's life. The line between admiration and invasion has blurred so deeply that privacy itself has become scandalous. For Dylan, this wasn't just about a leaked recording. It was about reclaiming his humanity from the claws of public ownership. And yet, even in the chaos, something profoundly human emerged from the wreckage. A few fans began to speak up, not to defend his image, but to defend his right to be imperfect. They reminded others that the actor who gave them comfort through characters like Dao Ming-si or Lee Sun was now the one being stripped of his dignity by the same society that claimed to love him. Slowly, hashtags began to shift from mockery to empathy. There were moments, too, of eerie irony. The leak came at a time when Dylan's career was reaching new heights, new projects lined up, endorsements secured, his name among the most bankable young stars in Asia. And yet, at the very peak, this scandal reminded the world that even success can be suffocating when it's built on the illusion of flawlessness. Insiders said that brands who worked with him didn't withdraw but chose to wait and observe. That alone spoke volumes about how the entertainment world operates, loyalty conditional upon public perception. Weeks after the incident, the source of the recording was still unknown. Some believed it came from an old phone theft. Others claimed it was leaked deliberately by someone seeking revenge or clout. Legal reports confirmed that Dylan's team refused mediation, opting for direct prosecution, a sign that the star was done tolerating intrusion. But beyond the courtrooms and social media wars, the human story remained untouched, a man betrayed by someone he once trusted, or perhaps by a system that treats his pain as content. If one listens closely to the fragments of the recording still circulating in dark corners of the web, the voices, real or not, carry an aching familiarity. There's love in the anger, exhaustion in the accusations, tenderness hidden beneath fury. It doesn't sound like a scandal, it sounds like heartbreak. And that's what made it resonate so deeply. People weren't just reacting to gossip, they were reacting to the mirror it held up to themselves. Everyone has had an argument like that, a love that went wrong, a trust that broke. The tragedy is that for Dylan Wang, his heartbreak wasn't allowed to stay private. As the dust begins to settle, the scandal may fade, but the questions it raised will linger. How much of a celebrity's life belongs to the public? When admiration turns into obsession, who draws the line? And at what point does fame stop being a dream and become a prison? Dylan Wang's story isn't just about a recording, it's about the world's addiction to access. The same fans who loved him for his vulnerability now weaponized it against him, proving that in the digital age, even love can be cruel. Yet, perhaps this is where Dylan's real strength shows. Despite everything, the invasion, the betrayal, the noise, he hasn't lashed out or disappeared. He continues to work, to show up, to smile faintly for cameras even when the questions behind them sting. Maybe silence for him isn't weakness. Maybe it's the only act of rebellion left, a quiet stand against a culture that confuses exposure with truth. Because sometimes, the most courageous thing a person can do is to keep their dignity when the world tries to take it away. The leak that threatened to destroy Dylan Wang may, in time, define a new chapter in his career, one that shows not just his beauty or charm, but his resilience. Fame may have stripped him bare, but it also revealed the humanity that fans fell in love with in the first place. Perhaps the real story isn't about a secret love or a 27-minute argument. Perhaps it's about the man who stood in the eye of a storm and didn't let it turn him into someone he wasn't. In a world obsessed with exposure, Dylan Wang's quiet endurance is a rare kind of grace, the kind that reminds us that behind every headline, every rumor, and every whispered scandal, there is still a person who bleeds, forgives, and keeps going. 1303, October 18th, 2025, +234 903 345 7796. The storm around Dylan Wang's leaked audio may have quieted online, but silence doesn't mean peace. For a celebrity like him, silence becomes its own kind of sound, heavy, echoing, and misunderstood. Weeks have passed since that 27-minute recording shattered his carefully built wall of privacy, yet the ripples continue to move beneath the surface of Chinese entertainment. Those close to Dylan say he has retreated from social gatherings, focusing entirely on his work. The boyish spark that once lit up variety shows now flickers behind a guarded calm. Fame, once his greatest blessing, seems to have become a mirror reflecting every wound the industry inflicts. Some say this scandal has made Dylan more human, more real, even to those who once saw him only as a flawless idol. Others whisper that he's changed, that his laughter feels heavier, that his eyes carry the quiet weight of betrayal. It's strange how the world demands vulnerability from stars, but punishes them when they finally show it. Fans wanted to know the man behind the mask, but when the mask cracked, they gasped not in compassion, but in judgment. It's the cruel paradox of fame. The world loves you most when you're least yourself. Yet, amid the ruins of gossip and broken trust, something unexpected began to happen. People started talking, not about who Dylan might have dated, but about what privacy means in an age where everything can be recorded, uploaded, and monetized in seconds. Conversations spread across fan forums and online spaces about boundaries, respect, and the emotional toll of being watched. A fan posted a message that quickly went viral. "We used to call him our dream man. Maybe it's time we let him dream, too." It was simple, yet powerful, a collective awakening that reminded millions that their idol wasn't just an image, but a person. For Dylan, however, the healing isn't public. It's private, quiet, unseen. He has always been a man who speaks more with silence than words. In interviews, he rarely addresses controversies directly, preferring to let his work define him. That approach has once again become his shield. Sources close to him say he spends long hours refining new scripts, diving into characters that allow him to express what real life won't let him. In his upcoming projects, he is said to portray a man haunted by a love he couldn't protect, an uncanny reflection of his own narrative. It's art imitating life, and perhaps, in that imitation, he finds a form of peace. The entertainment industry is watching closely. They know this scandal could have ended careers, Yet Dylan's resilience seems to be writing a different story. Instead of fading, his fan base has evolved. It's smaller now, perhaps, but more genuine. No longer infatuated with perfection, but drawn to his endurance. His name, once associated with boyish charm, is slowly becoming a symbol of quiet strength. And that is the strange alchemy of pain. It burns, but it also purifies. As Dylan continues forward, the world around him seems to hold its breath. What will he say next? Will he ever address the recording, or will he carry it as one of those scars the public never truly understands? Whatever his choice, it feels like a turning point, not just for him, but for an entire culture that consumes stars like stories and forgets they are human chapters still being written. Fame has many faces, but Dylan Wang's face has always carried something different, an innocence that refused to be swallowed by cynicism. Maybe that's why this incident hurt fans so deeply. They didn't just see a headline. They saw the boy who made them believe in sincerity, now cornered by the very machine he tried to escape. And maybe that's why people can't stop talking about him.